Gonna call the meeting to order. We could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So next on the agenda is just a moment of reflection. If you have any thoughts that you would like to keep to yourself, just take a moment. All right. Moving on, let's go to roll call.
Supervisor Godey,
Here.
Clerk Baraco, here. Treasurer Davis, here. Trustee McKay,
Here.
Trustee Meineke,
Here.
Trustee Greenwood, here. Trustee Huskin, here. 7 yes, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I am Supervisor Godey, and I just wanted to thank you guys all on this board, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you for the next 4 years. It's exciting to have all of us here. To the public who came out tonight, my gosh, with the weather that we've had, thank you for taking the time out of your day to coming. I just want to remind you that the rules are written out there. Public Act 267 of 1978 makes it clear that an Open Meetings Act is open to everyone and anyone who would like to come, and we welcome that. If you want to stand or you want to record, there is a standing and recording area in the back so as not to disturb the meeting. This is a meeting of the Township Board, and welcome. The first thing on the agenda is Resolution 12/12/2476, approval of the December 12th, 2024 consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
So we've got so moved and a support. Any discussion?
I'll do a friendly amendment to change a clerical error from November 14th to December 12th.
December 12th, 2024.
Correct.
So approval of the December 12th, 2024 consent agenda resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve the December 12th, 2024 consent agenda. Any discussion? We have a motion and a support. I'm going to do a roll call.
Trustee Huskin.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Trustee Meineke,
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
Supervisor Godey,
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Anyone from the public would like to make a comment on agenda items only? Pardon? Oh, I thought we had it open for. Quick question. I'm sorry. Can I stomach it?
Well,
I don't
okay.
think so.
It's already in the packet.
Procedure-wise, you only just approved the changing the date. You,
Right.
so motion.
I think the motion was before that. So,
Okay.
So the original motion is still open.
all right.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add resolution 12/12/2488.
So we have a motion. Do we have a support?
So move, support.
Okay. Support and discussion.
So this is just an addition to the agenda that wasn't included in the original packet, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't know if we really need a roll call for that. To add it to the agenda, but we can. Okay. Any other discussion on that, adding that to the agenda?
No.
All right,
So we'll do a roll call.
sure.
Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Supervisor Godey,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis.
Yeah.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
Trustee Meineke,
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins. Yes. 7 yes, motion carried.
All right. Now we can move on to public comment on agenda items. Anyone from the public would like to make a comment, agenda items only? Feel free to come forward and speak to the board. We'll move on. Let's go to our police report. Officer LaValle.
All right, so we took for the month of November for Bedford Township calls for service, we took 360 calls. We took a domestic / attempted arson in the area of Arlington Drive and Washington Ave. Officers got there, domestic was happening, and an individual had sprayed himself down with gasoline and sprayed the house with gasoline as well. So that individual was arrested for the attempted arson and an assault. We took a breaking and entering forced entry call in the area of Washington Ave and Morgan Road. We did end up catching the suspect and he was arrested. We took a fraud case in the area of Robinwood Ave. Someone had hacked into an individual's Amazon account, stealing over $1,390. It is the season of online shopping, and just for, public awareness and stuff like that, make sure you are changing your passwords on your online accounts every 3 to 6 months, or making sure that your passwords are strong passwords, so like uppercase, lowercase, exclamation point, numbers, and stuff like that. So it's harder for hackers to get into people's accounts. Okay. We had over 10 arrests for domestic assault, operating while intoxicated, probation violation, trespassing, and obstructing police this month. And it was a busy month for traffic accidents. That includes vehicles, deer accidents. We took over 26 traffic accidents this month. So
One a day.
it is snowy and icy. Tis the season. Just make sure you allow yourself some extra time during these next couple of months to get to your destination, and so we don't have to do an accident.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Rubin? Happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I think Assistant Chief Woodward.
You can see quietly sitting over here. Focus Carter is here. He's doing better, but he's entrusted me with this month. So we had a pretty light month. 78 calls for this month. Like Officer LaValle said, we had a lot of car accidents. One of the bigger thing was burning complaints. That time of year, everybody's cleaning up their yard. Please get a permit so you know the rules and you can follow them, and makes it easier for us. For the year, the ending of November, we're at 919. We're almost at 960, I think, right now. So we're on track for our normal average run total of between 1,000 and 1,100 runs. Since we started doing medical emergencies, that's been our norm. That's what we projected, and that's where we've been right at. So we've had a donation over here for Stop the Bleed. We're going to go on our medical kit over here with an AED and a Narcan. So with that, I'm going to talk a little later, I think. Well, there really is just slow down, please. I don't know if anybody saw the video of Comstock lost 2 vehicles this morning on I-94. Fortunately, everybody was able to scramble out of the way, and it was actually within a mile of where they lost their fire chief a couple of years ago in a similar situation. So slow down, take your time, leave early, And it's, you know, it's, if you see flashing lights, please pull over. And other than that, if anybody gets on the flashing, be happy to answer.
I think the
Thank you.
law says to pull over and slow down by 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
When you see
Yeah.
any lights anywhere.
I'm kind of stuck over here, so I can go all over the place. Everyone can hear. Okay,
The,
thanks.
the burning permits, they can get online
You can
on the
call in,
website.
I believe we can call them in, right, Bruce?
Mhm.
They can call in.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have the online version of it yet.
I think Cody and I will be,
Love.
we're gonna be busy.
So you can either come in physically and get one, or you can do it on the telephone.
Awesome. Legislative and intergovernmental relations. I believe Representative-elect Steve Frisbee was gonna try to be here tonight.
I didn't see anyone.
He is here? Oh, no. How about County Commissioner Dan Strobert? Okay. That's quick report. Superintendent report.
Just a couple of things, construction is just about finished, over there with the temporary fire station and the cemetery office. Probably week, maybe 2 weeks, they'll be done. And Austin is complete, made $5,000, $551.20. So still waiting on a check on that, but that was successful, moved all that stuff out, the guys were working hard, meeting people. A little delay on picking up stuff with the snow last week, so, and Thanksgiving, so they're doing that, but everything else is pretty copacetic. Still waiting on the land bank to get back on their next phase for the station coming down, but
First Station 1. Excellent. Any questions for Superintendent Beamish? Awesome. Well, Planning Commission Annual Report. All right.
I'm gonna try and get through this.
Oh, no.
I just got my voice back a
Tis
few
the
hours ago.
season.
Cody will tell you it was a very difficult conversation 2 days ago, so I apologize in advance. Just the annual report for the planning commission there, another very busy year for us. Probably, I would think, the biggest accomplishment that the planning commission has had in some time is, the complete review of the zoning ordinance, which you guys will be doing first read on tonight. That was very extensive, took a lot of meeting time. There were a few other public hearings in there, related to, marijuana and a couple reasons and whatnot. Again, very busy, we're averaging 9 to 11 meetings a year. That's quite a bit more than what, was previously going on, 5 to 10 years ago. So I just want to touch briefly on, I guess, what would be, I think, the most important part of that annual report is the fiscal needs for the planning commission, not just for 2025, but just moving forward in general.
Mhm.
I think it's probably a good opportunity here to explain what I think the planning commission kind of has changed in the sense of what's expected of us as a group. There's, like I said, between 9 and 11 meetings now, we're only required to meet 4. I don't know when the last time they only did 4, it's probably been a long time. But all that comes with, the need for the members of the planning commission to, have that commitment. Because that is, quite a bit of time, quite a bit of prep time and whatnot. I reference in there the need, for planners and the attorneys. Those 2 things were just so valuable to us as a group, this time around, with the zoning ordinance review. I think it's probably something that should be on the forefront of the board's mind, that, there'll be needs moving forward where we'll need outside assistance at an additional cost. In there, I've got, I think it probably also would be a good idea, for the board to review the fee structure for, rezones, special land use. I think we're primed now with a new future land use map and the new master plan and then the zoning ordinance getting adopted. I think there's going to be more rezones. People trying to take advantage of our mixed use in some of the different districts. And those kind of things, we have a great group. We can absolutely handle those ourselves, but it's always good to have, an outside, planning firm or, not necessarily just an attorney to help guide us through that. And then I'd also kind of like to just touch on compensation for the board members or commission members. We did get a very substantial raise last year, which everyone on the team is very, very appreciative of. But I do think, given the workload that I think we anticipate coming, the board may want to revisit that again. I'm not certainly suggesting that we, turn this into like a money grab situation. But I do think that, appropriate compensation for the commission members for the time that we're putting in, you all know, I mean, it's a lot of prep to get ready for a meeting, right? Especially if there's, a hot topic item or whatnot, 2 or 3 hours in some cases, in my experience. I'm sure Trustee Greenwood would vouch for that, sometimes more than that, right?
Correct.
And then you have the meeting time and, I think our average meeting time this year is like 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is a long meeting, but, they do happen. But just kind of things that I think, I just want to bring to the board's attention so that, I don't expect, and I know the commission members don't expect to, some runniness change right now or anything like that. But I do think that, good communication between everybody is key in that. And I think that continuity with that group that we have right now is key. We've seen obviously a lot of change in Bedford over the years, and every time you get in and out and everything else, it is difficult. And we do have some pretty big applications coming. We're going to have the Consumer Energy Solar application, which is going to be a huge undertaking. I still don't even have my head wrapped around that yet, as far as that goes. And then there'll be marijuana stuff, and we did add a few extra roles to the planning commission in the new zoning ordinance, doing our own site reviews on, special land use applications and an annual review for the marijuana establishments. Just trying to place that work where it belongs as far as that goes. That's just a summary. I would go into much further detail. I can't believe I'm actually
if you-
able.
if you were healthy.
Voice action, so.
So in the last 2 years, I'm assuming marijuana has been a huge part of the planning commission that's really,
I mean, it certainly is a big
Cause
component. I mean, the zoning ordinance was the biggest component this year, master plan the year before that. But there were, in 2023, I think we did, I want to say it was either 2 or 3 special land use for marijuana. And then we had a rezone request for it this year. But it is a large component of the planning commission, yes.
okay,
And it will be moving forward with the annual review process that will still need to flush out
sure,
in the new zoning ordinance, kind of giving the planning commission an opportunity if necessary to impose additional conditions on a special land use that's already been granted. So if we're getting like a lot of complaints and whatnot, that would almost be initiated at the planning commission level, and then ultimately the board always
Okay.
has final approval.
awesome.
May I interject?
Absolutely, please.
To back up what Mr. Stein was saying, Chairman Stein, the planning commission is essentially the research portion of the recommendation for the board. So we rely on them and they do, most of the work. What we're seeing here now is before we were looking at smaller businesses.
Sure.
Now we're looking at larger scale businesses coming in, which requires more work and planning and research for the planning commission.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
It is very exciting. I mean, I think it is going to be a very, very interesting time. And then there's also in that report also does reference the state component to this, which is no secret to anybody. I know that they're going to talk about marijuana at the State House tomorrow, and maybe changing some of the rules and what they oversee and all that jazz. Mineral extraction at some point will be something that also happens on the state level. So there's gonna be a very, strong need to continually go back to the zoning ordinance and do a lot of text amendments. That is not something that I don't really know the township has done a lot of, Casey, in our time, you know, your time, my time. So that is a process within itself. It doesn't take just 10 minutes, not just one meeting. And it's
Sure.
also a lot of, you know, a lot of back and forth with either the planner or the attorney, moving forward. So that's just something, you know, I'm just trying to bring awareness to the board.
Excellent.
Not saying that we have anything cooking in that regard right now, but it's just something that you want to be thinking about, at least I think, moving forward, you know, with budgetary and fiscal needs, that kind of thing.
Any other comments?
Your
or
report
questions?
was put together nicely
Thank you.
with all the
Very much
details of
so.
the meeting date and attendance, what was discussed. That's
Try and give a
interesting.
brief synopsis. Not everyone has time to go back and watch those meetings. They're not exactly exciting a lot of times. Kind of can be long-winded.
Well, thank you so much. I think there's other stuff on here about the planning.
Thank you.
Ordinance. Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much. I'm finished. Next on the agenda is unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Okay. Next, we'll move on to petitions and new business. Resolution 12/12/2477, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to adopt 2025 meeting dates, January 9th, February 13th, March 13th, April 10th, May 8th, June 12th, July 10, August 14, September 11th, October 9th, November 13th, and December 11th.
So moved.
Support.
Move in support. How about roll call?
Treasurer Davis.
Sorry,
Sorry,
any discussion?
Yeah.
Anybody?
my fault.
You?
That's pretty cut and dry.
Okay, all right, all right.
Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Menke.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Supervisor Godey.
Yes,
Clerk Rocco. Yes. 7 yes, motion carried.
right. Next on the agenda is resolution 12/12/2478, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to contract with Trident Public Risk Solutions for insurance coverage effective 1/1/25 through 1/1/26 at a cost of $87,020. Motion?
So moved.
Who's supporting?
Whatever, yeah, support.
Okay.
I thought you
Chris
said
will support. All right, discussion.
In a previous life, I used to do this
Did you?
to buy corporate type. I think that's an excellent options that were presented, and was Trident option. They redid the underlying insurance and then the excess liability. And that actually saved us quite a lot of money. So it looked like a fair deal.
I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
Although we were comfortable with the other one, the price just, we couldn't handle the price. It went
Price
up.
was crazy.
Yeah, $30,000,
Yeah.
33.
Something.
Is Jason speaking?
And-
So,
Go ahead.
so the reason it went up so much is the claims that we've had against it.
Right. Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, a roll call?
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Trustee Menke.
Yes.
Clerk Rocco. Yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Supervisor Godey.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Mhm. Next is 12/12/2479, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve quote Q 24/170 from Moses Fire Equipment for the purchase of firefighter turnout gear in the amount of $21,330. 3 bids submitted.
So moved.
Any support?
Support.
Discussion?
Is there anything you wanted to add onto it?
Is that, turnout gear is governed by the state and the National Fire Protection Standard, so it's a 10-year lifespan. You can only use it for 10 years, so what we've tried to do is buy 3-4 sets a year as a rolling thing. This one's a little more than normal because the vendor we used last time, a 9-month turnaround turned into 19 months. So we actually have 2 years worth of purchases out here. And moving forward, one set of turnout gear after January is going to be $4,900 for one coat, one pair of pants. So everything goes up January 1st. So this is just to keep everybody in compliant gear and keep everybody safe. So
Safety is the key.
that's where we're at.
Any other discussion? Right, roll call?
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Trustee Meinke.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Supervisor Cody.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Excellent. Resolution 12/12/2480, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to accept the proposal from CSI Emergency Apparatus LLC in the amount of $520,239 to build per specifications or per specs a mini pumper. The lead time for delivery is 750 days.
You
So a couple weeks.
say weeks or hours?
Yeah.
That's a little.
Any second?
Second.
Okay. Shannon, can you put this thing? Any discussion?
Is this price guaranteed still in 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
There can be a slight fluctuation depending upon what materials go up, but this locks it in. Again, after January 1st, this is subject to a 15% increase. And then I'll just interject this. This is gonna actually end up replacing 2 vehicles out of the fleet. This is it's on an F-550 frame. It's a small vehicle, which allows us to get down these long driveways. We have a lot of driveways in this township that are up to a half a mile long. And they're hard to get through with a 10-foot wide, 11-foot high vehicle. So it'll end up being a brush truck, a structural firefighting vehicle, and a medical response unit. So we get 3 things out of this one, and this will be placed at Station 1. Timing works out. The new building will be open when this comes in, so. The temporary building that we're doing right now, this will fit in there. So if it does happen to come in before the new building is done, it'll fit in there. So, and again, just as a point of reference, I was asked about a used vehicle. There's a 2023 that is like F-550 frame, it's $524,723. So 524 for a 3-year-old vehicle.
Yeah.
So we work pretty good deals with, and fire trucks go through a national pricing, vetting process. So what you get is essentially a 3-bid, quote. And we went through this when we purchased Rescue 5, 3 years ago now. So what you get is, at the end of that, is the same as getting multiple quotes from multiple manufacturers.
And that's made in Michigan, correct?
It's gonna be made in Michigan, yes.
So is the funding from your fund balance, is it financed? Is it?
Well, we have the 1 mil for specifically for this, for equipment replacement, apparatus replacement. And we have fund balance in there that we can put in a pretty healthy down payment and then finance that at our financing is a much lower rate than what the normal is for any, because of that.
We'll probably look at that, end of next year, beginning of the following. It's a 2-year lead time, so.
Yeah.
Not to say that we're just gonna, but not, no, but I mean, we do have.
I know, well, I'm looking at the financials. I can see it. It's in there. That was just a question of
Yeah.
what your intention was. That was
Yeah.
all.
We're trying to do, our fleet was purchased as a whole in 2002. And these vehicles have a practical use of 20 years. According to NFPA, they're 10-year frontline, 5-year reserve, and 20 years are down the road. So this is replacing the 1979 that we just decommissioned and sent to the auction. So we got our money's worth out of that one. But, you know, this unfortunately is not subject to grant because we decommissioned the other one. So you can't write a grant for this one, but our intention is with the fire assistance to firefighter grant is to write a grant. Their number one priority this year is replacing apparatus. We're going to write a grant for the replacement of 2 of the older vehicles with that grant request. So
I think that's limited grant monies though, isn't it? Like when I looked at it, it didn't look like a lot of money they were giving out, but.
yeah, it's a high priority, but it's a low opportunity. So you got to get them in, and hopefully we get ours in enough time,
Awesome.
early enough. So.
Any other discussion? Questions? Do a roll call?
Okay. Trustee Hoskins.
Yeah.
Trustee Menke.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Supervisor Cody.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Green.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Resolution 12/12/2481, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to contract with CEI Civil Engineers to update the Ellis Harmonia Water Project in all applicable areas in order to resubmit for full loan forgiveness. Contract amount is $8,000.
So we'll
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So it's my understanding that we have to submit a request for loan forgiveness each year. And we were denied for last year. Is that correct?
Just didn't score high enough.
We didn't
It's
score
not
high enough.
denial, and all the funds went to one municipality. We spent over 40,000 so far on engineering costs, so.
That was not our municipality.
What's that?
No,
That was not our
It was not.
municipality.
With this, if we choose not to go forward with it, we can pick it up next year if we decide to and try again, but our scores weren't close to being anything to collect funds for,
Okay.
like the other water projects. And I think this one only serves 17 people, 20, 17 people. So I think with the fire station happening and we have some road projects, maybe it isn't the time. Maybe it is.
Any
is there
other?
a way, I mean, with this score, that we can score higher? I mean, what was I guess the reason we didn't score so high?
So I think it's based on median income,
Hmm.
the scoring status, the metric.
We met the poverty standard back with River Road, we didn't.
For this one.
Ellis Harmonia. To meet, to gain more points, one of the things we're working on is working with the city of Battle Creek to include the water lines on their capital improvement plan. So that'll gain us about 5 points, I believe. Everything counts. It just depends on what other projects are submitted. There's no guarantees. It's just, we've already spent 40,000. Do we just abandon that, or do we spend an extra 8, see if we can get it to do kind of my recommendation. If we apply this year and don't get it, I probably would abandon the project, but they started in 23. It didn't get to be submitted in 23 because they were still working on easements. Needed easement from the railroad and then also from a landowner. We got those this spring, so those things are in place. So everything ready, this paper has to be updated with new standard, just everything the government wants you to fill out for the new year.
But if it's not 100% funded, we can always say no at that point too.
Right,
Correct.
If it's not,
right.
we have options still moving forward.
And then, but right now, it would cost us, if this passes, it would cost us 8,000.
Just
8,000 would be to submit, to get all the paperwork updated from last year to this
Okay.
year.
So we've submitted once. This would be the second submission. We could either turn it down or move forward in good faith to show due diligence and supporting the residents. And then if we don't get it, not do it the third year. I mean, there are options.
And this would be, once they get the paperwork around, probably March, then there's a public hearing. We have to go through the whole step, which is a public hearing, publishing notification, that sort of thing. So it's
Just like the
process.
first one.
Any other discussion?
So the $8,000, it wouldn't be any more than that to see if we do qualify or not.
No, that
Is correct?
it's a firm quote.
Okay.
Yeah. If we ask them to change something outside the scope, then yes, it could.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we owe it to the citizens to try it one more time for $8,000 and
All right. Roll call?
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis. Yes. Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Menke.
yes,
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Supervisor Cody.
Yes.
And then yes, motion carried.
Resolution 12/12/2482, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to reappoint the following members to the Planning Commission. Mike Stein. Claudia Brown for a 3-year term. And Trustee Greenwood is a liaison.
so move.
Support.
Roll call. Any discussion?
Do they,
Go ahead.
do they want to be on it?
Well, I don't.
I'm here.
Well, if you wanted to step out of the hallway for a second. Gonna say, I
And
don't see
Claudia,
Claudia,
like
so
every-
for sure.
The
she's-
conversation happened.
Claudia.
Okay.
We can, and I have spoken with her.
Okay.
She was gonna try and be here tonight, but I don't know if it's weather or.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Everybody.
That was my question.
Any other discussion?
Trustee Greenwood.
Abstain.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Supervisor Cody.
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Menke.
Yes,
6 yes, 1 abstain, motion carries.
Next resolution is 12/12/2483, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve contracting with the Calhoun County Road Department for 3 chip seal projects at a 50% match for a total cost to the township of $169,229.57. $185,000 is budgeted.
So move.
Support. This is true.
Okay. All right, discussion.
So, these are for which roads? Can you break this down for the public?
Sure. For, let's see, Collier Avenue from Meacham to Baseline, that's our portion from Meacham to Michigan Avenue is primary, so the county does that. That's 1.73 miles. Next one is Baseline Road from West County line all the way to the gravel portion. And that's 2.6 miles, 2.06. And then Hamilton from M37 all the way across the West County line. Those, last thing that happened to them was they were all done in 2015 and no maintenance work has been done to them since then. So they all need to be chip sealed. Question them up.
Any other discussion?
So how do they score like, some counties score the roads A, B, C, some counties, how are these roads scored?
The paperwork I've got from the county, these aren't scored on that matrix.
Okay,
They simply went by the last time anything was done to the roads
okay, as they're
Yeah.
back there.
and we didn't do anything for the last 2 years. So we're a little bit behind
Mhm.
that. And part of, revisiting, making a concerted effort to find a road coordinator will be, first of the year's
Okay.
project.
And this is what we had budgeted for.
Yes, ma'am. The county,
This is a little less than our budget.
well, to get everything kind of, these were kind of the last roads that the first roads they recommend tackling. They won't even guarantee that they'll be able to afford to do all three, which is kind of a shame. 169,000, like that much money. They've been committed for more.
Right.
Gina and I had a good conversation with. You want to weigh in? More intelligent. Huh?
Well, no, I'm just back to the old A, B, C, D roads where I was educated on road quality. And these roads are not in disrepair, but to keep them out of disrepair,
Right.
they need to be chip sealed. And that keeps the roads, maybe not an A road, but they're at least a B road, which is, old grading scale is still a very good road. And you're right, I live near that area, not on those roads, but live near that area. Hamilton got beat up on the gas line thing pretty bad in the spring. That was pretty bad.
So they won't start this to the spring,
Correct.
spring or summer? Spring,
They won't give us a time frame.
okay.
Right now they're waiting for the proposals to come in, which they're due Monday. And then they'll set their schedule.
They're
They
due
might
this
tell us-
Monday.
What's that?
They're due this Monday.
So that'll go through the scoring process of the available local road dollars at the county. There's a matrix for scoring about the effectiveness of the use of the dollars that they have. So, but to maintain a good road is a pretty high score. So it should do well in the scoring process.
Awesome.
And if you want to pay more, they'll score higher.
Right, yeah. You can
We're good.
find a way up to, yeah,
They would really like us to do a 60-40.
because that opens up more dollars for us to use.
If I may, just to piggyback off of Steve there, I think it would probably be good for the board to look at the policy 509 that they have. And that will explain how the scoring system actually works. If you want to do an overmatch, so on and so forth, and give you a little better idea of their metrics. And as Superintendent Beaver said, there is no guarantee that they'll be able to match that. And that guarantee will come off of how they score the road via that policy. I think that was in the road report and we submitted that, so.
And that's how we do the 1, 2, type of projects. If you want to get into a full local road maintenance program, then that would automatically get funded. So like we did with the repaving of all the local roads, we matched it. Boom, we bonded the whole thing. You guys did too, and off we go. That's not part of that scoring process. So if you adopted a road plan that said every 5 years or whatever, 6 years, we're gonna chip seal every one of these local roads, if we have funding available to do that, that would be separate from these, the smaller pot available.
Okay.
We'll work that into our budget at the road department when it's a comprehensive road plan for all of your. So that's another consideration.
This is we stuff, Representative.
What's that?
This is we stuff, Representative.
I'm still here. To the end of the month.
Can I interrupt just one more time? I'll be quick.
You can.
So, under that process that Steve just described, last year, our total cost, if we were just to chip seal everything, I think was $1.8 million. That is more money now and probably will be more money later. But that's just a chip seal, so that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to do it every year, right? You wouldn't have to do
Correct, you would
everything
not.
in 1 year. You could step it out over like a 4 to 5 year process.
But that would be the level of commitment that they would want to see to get into that program, which is different than the other one. If
Okay.
that makes any sense.
If
Yeah.
you go back to the very beginning of this, it said, great, we're gonna do these roads. Now how are we gonna maintain them so that we aren't back to 2012, pothole filled roads? And that long-term maintenance, how do you turn the, 150 and 75 into something that can sustain maintenance in long term? And lower that cost, it's much lower to chip seal than it is to repay. And make that a comprehensive plan going forward. And I would encourage you to do that. It's better than going back to 10 years to the voters and saying, hey, our roads are failing.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
Both of you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, let's do a roll call.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Trustee Menke,
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Supervisor Cody,
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Next on the agenda is Resolution 12/12/2484, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to accept the recommendation of building official Mark Hires, former trustee Mark Hires, to discontinue our membership in the Area Metropolitan Service Agency, AMC.
So moved.
Support.
Move and support. Any discussion?
So it's my understanding that the rates for contractors, according to AMSA, have not changed since 2012. Is that correct?
Well, different subject. That is, AMSA sets the rates for the building inspection department, and that hasn't been upgraded since 2012.
Okay,
AMSA was, Area Metropolitan Services Agency, was created to try to have uniformity between all of the townships and municipalities in the county. Did a great job for a long time. Slowly it's lost favor. They've fallen off. Battle Creek's dropped off. Penfield's dropped off. Springfield's dropped off. Leroy Township's dropped off. The last meeting that they had, which was the only one this year, was April 23rd. Barry and I showed up. It was at Emmett was hosting it. And even Emmett forgot that they were having a meeting. So we're saddled with something that we can't change our rates in our building. It affects fire department. It affects any of our services, and we can't make any decisions without AMSA, and yet AMSA is no longer meeting. Everyone's pulled out of it. They're not meeting anymore. I suggest we get out of it so we can go our own. Penfield, part of the next resolution is we'll talk about it, I'm sure, again, is the rates that haven't been changed for the building department since 2012, if you can mention that. And that was all because AMSA was no longer meeting, no longer taking interest in these things. So it's really a defunct, unfortunately. It was a great idea. I strongly supported it. I went to all the meetings. I never missed a meeting, but they stopped having them.
so our rates are currently locked in, and essentially what you're saying is, they're non-functional and meeting regularly.
Correct.
Okay,
And we need to go out alone. And Bill has expressed concerns of his support of this too.
okay.
Does not being part of a group like this, is there another group that's forming, or is there a support mechanism that was from here?
Conversation, it's a separate, and Barry had conversation with Penfield. It's part of again, that next discussion about fees. We are reaching parity with Penfield so that our fees are the same as their fees.
Okay.
So we might end up having, I don't know how formal it'll be, but I think we'll have a relationship with Penfield since that's our neighbor, to try to do the same thing that AMSA was done on a micro scale.
So is AMSA the one that had drive drunk, get pulled over, kind of, was that AMS's? Did they have some kind of, every December we, that's BCAT, okay, excuse me. Thank you.
Anything else?
Is there any penalties for withdrawing from them?
Is there,
Is there any penalties for withdrawing from them?
no, well, already, like I said, Battle Creek's pulled out, Penfield's pulled out, Springfield's pulled out, Leroy Township's pulled out. There's, you just have to, I'm sure we'll have to go back to Seth and formally make a declaration. That's what the vote is tonight, but we'll have to formally send something forward that we're no longer part of the organization.
All right. Roll call?
Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Supervisor Godey,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
Trustee Menke,
Yes.
Trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Excellent. Resolution 12/12/2485 resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to increase inspection rates by 50%. Any motion?
Motion.
Bruce, any support? All right. Now discussion. So when you see 50%, make sure hair stand up a little bit. However, you just explained that no fee increases since 2012, right? Okay. No, that's fine. And by raising this 50%, that's the same as Penfield did, and are those state recommended rates?
On with Penfield, same amount that they're doing it. You know, it really should have gone up substantially more than that if you take inflation into account, but you don't want to drive people away from using the permits, and that's the scary part about this. But understand we're having trouble keeping inspectors because the rates are so low. I mean, if you can imagine, if you were getting paid the same thing you were getting paid in 2012, I mean, think about that. And it makes it difficult to keep our department going and to keep the inspections. What the effect of this would be is that a $50 inspection would go up to $75. There's some other fees that'll go, the associated administration fees would go up the same amount. So all across the board, any of the fees in the commercial side of the world, they're based on use group and square foot costs. Those would go up by 50%. So everything would go up to that 50%, but it seemed like the right amount without being too much to try to steer people away from it. It's revenue neutral to the township. It's just, but it does go against our residents, so we have to be really careful.
For sure.
They're the ones that are paying it when they do construction. But it does not come out of the budget because the inspectors are only paid the amount equal to what we receive back in from the permit fees.
And that is how they're paid, the inspectors.
That is-
It is, okay.
So it works out to less than 5% increase every year, if you did the math that way.
Well, and if you compound it, it's less than that. I calculated back closer.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, it's because you have to compound.
Any other discussion or questions? A roll call.
Trustee Menke.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
if I could add, we just don't want to do this again. It should be incrementally. It should be every 3 or 4 years on a period of time. So it's smaller increases. It should never be like this. It was just absolutely a failure of AMPS and not needing all of this happen. Sorry, I'm sorry.
How about I put in the calendar for 3 years from now? So, all right.
Sorry. Trustee Menke,
Yes.
Supervisor Godey,
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Greenwood.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
All right. Resolution 12/12/2486 resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to adopt an official donation form to be used for any donations solicited or otherwise on behalf of the Township Board.
So moved.
Support.
Right, any discussion?
I think it's a good idea, and we'll know, have a record of what's coming in and, you know, who brought it in. If we ever need to know, we got it.
And then who would take care of this? Who takes the donations and,
So money coming in would go through the treasurer's office, I believe. But this would be able to track cash donations, and have, record retention of that as well as a receipt for the donor.
any other discussion? All right, roll call?
Supervisor Cody,
Yes.
trustee Meng,
Yes.
treasurer Davis,
Yes.
trustee McKay,
Yes.
clerk Baraco, yes. Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
trustee Husband.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. 7 yes, motion carried.
All right. Next is resolution 12/12/2487, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to approve the rate of pay for Deputy Treasurer Tanya Risty, I'm sorry, Tanya, of $27 per hour part-time.
So moved.
I'll support.
Support?
Who supported? Shannon.
Yeah. Any discussion?
This is the same rate that she was making prior to being Christie's deputy.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Question?
Think Ray might as well stay with it. I hear good things about her.
She's doing wonderful.
Good.
She is.
All right, roll call.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis,
Yes.
trustee McKay.
Yes.
Trustee Menke,
Yes.
trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
trustee Hoskins,
Yes.
supervisor Cody.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
The next resolution is 12/12/2488, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to establish millage at 0.625 for the Special Assessment District for streetlights effective for 2024, which will yield $82,726 for streetlight operations and maintenance.
So moved.
Support.
All right, any discussion?
This is a yearly thing. It's an in and out, essentially for streetlights.
Everybody's good? All right,
Yes.
roll call?
Trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
trustee McKay,
Yes.
supervisor Cody,
Yes.
clerk Baraco, yes. Trustee Hoskins,
Yes.
treasurer Davis,
Yes.
trustee Menke.
Yes.
7 yes, motion carried.
Okay. So next on the agenda is the first reading of the zoning ordinance dated October 14th, 2024. And I don't need to read through the draft changes, correct? Draft zoning ordinance changes is lengthy. It is on our agenda.
You could just read the bullet points. Anything?
All right.
Yeah.
9.
Preference?
I believe Chairman Steib to go over. I have a motion to amend if we want to do that first.
Sure.
This is a technicality. So we're looking at page 33. So motion to amend section 4.26 marijuana adult use. Section C, we are adding subsection 3 to allow until March 3rd, 2025, to operators holding an outdoor license before the zoning ordinance goes into effect to submit a special land use request and site plan in accordance with the provisions of the zoning ordinance for processing through the planning commission. The planning commission will not accept or process any applications for outdoor grow facilities or any applications that are not filed in compliance with this section.
So just a short amendment.
Correct. Not specific at all.
Not at all.
So I would just need a support. So this is just a technicality, since we are addressing marijuana and we have to also address the licensing. We have to give them a date of reference in order to, get all of their licensing and, before this goes into effect. So it was recommended to add that to the zoning ordinance, just so everyone is aware.
Just have one question.
Yes.
And maybe I didn't hear you.
Please.
Yes.
So it's March 3rd, 2025, is that for them to be through was it through the planning commission process or just have their application in?
And
Okay.
so that's the cutoff time frame.
So would that then effectively have the effective date be? We would have, so they would have until then to get their application in, we would still have to process it. So we would have, the board will then set an effective date later on. So we
No,
can't-
this is a one-time thing, just for the transition from the old ordinance to the new ordinance.
Right, maybe I'm not making my, I mean, I don't have a
He's
problem.
saying it won't get it finished in time, because you're giving them a date, but when will it be concluded?
Right, so you're giving them a date, that they'll have to have the application in. But we would still have the planning commission and the board would still have to process it. So,
I think it has, so, and Jeff wrote this, so the planning commission will not accept or process any applications for outdoor grow facilities for any applications that are not filed in compliance with this section. So it makes it effective, the zoning ordinance, according to how we discussed this afternoon, this makes zoning ordinance effective March 3rd. So they have to have their application in and processed before March 3rd. March 3rd, this goes into effect.
In and processed? So in and processed through the planning commission?
Yeah, before March 3rd.
all right, so. Do I have some latitude here or can I?
Please.
Okay, so we would need to then set a separate date for them to, they have to have
The
their stuff
application.
in by there. In order for us to have a chance to process it. And the board would also need to have that process before that goes into effect. So if we're effectively saying that March 3rd is when the zoning ordinance is going to be going into effect, right? Am I understanding that correct, David?
Well, we would do, this is a first read, so in January would be the public hearing for it. And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
For the attorney, applications must be approved by March 3rd, otherwise that's it. So, Mike, the three of us could sit down and determine what our drop dead, okay, we better have the application in by this day in order to be processed and done by the 3rd. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we're amending, that there's no confusion about like how we're amending.
And that's why the March 3rd, that way we've got 2.5 months for them, and we have already given them 60 days.
Right, no, I
So-
understand. I just, the way it sounded is that you could still read your application up into March 3rd. And that would contradict what I think we're trying to do is that when the zoning ordinance is going to go into effect. We would just need to communicate that with them.
Yes.
And again,
So-
maybe I didn't hear you correctly is all. I just want to make sure we didn't amend it, making it seem like they could go until March 30.
So in and approved by March 3rd.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that makes sense. Absolutely.
So the ordinance changes. Do we need to vote on the amendments first?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And just to clarify, yep, so this is special land use request and site plan in accordance with the provisions of the zoning ordinance to the PC. So,
That makes sense. That makes-
recommended and going through. I don't anticipate there will be a lag on the approval of the zoning ordinance at all. It's just that we have to give them a proper date.
No, I totally get that.
Yep, so we do need a roll call on the secondary motion.
And then you should
Okay.
read the bullet points
I will.
for the first.
But the friendly amendment comes first, correct? The vote on the friendly amendment. Let's do a roll call on that.
Trustee Menke,
Yes.
Supervisor Cody,
Yes.
Clerk Baraco, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Hoskins.
Yes.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
trustee Greenwood,
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay. So now the first reading for the zoning ordinance dated October 14th, 2024. Draft zoning ordinance changes would be a section in front for tables of amendments. Enhanced table of contents. Incorporation of the new zoning districts with new definitions. Creation of the table of permitted uses, new schedule of regulations for principal structures. Creation of new section containing permitted and special land uses, standards, definitions, and regulations. Compete, revision of marijuana, mineral extraction. Complete. All right. Mineral extraction, wind energy systems and additions. A battery energy storage systems, accessory dwelling units, gun range along with others. The next bullet point is newly crafted sections containing the general provisions to aid in the understanding of regulations. Helpful. The next bullet is complete revision of off-street parking and loading requirements. Sections to aid in the clarification for what is required for certain types of businesses. Redefining requirements, regulations, and administrative enforcement regarding signs. Enhanced section containing performance standards. More clearly defined and organized processes and procedure section. And then finally, the enhanced section for definitions for items within the zoning ordinance. Motions?
Or
It's just
Oh,
a
that's
read
not,
out.
okay, it's just a read. All right, so you guys haven't been busy at all, I see.
Right.
You know, yeah, my goodness,
2 pages of bullet points.
good job.
Those are just the highlights. I mean, this essentially, the takeaway here is this is a completely different and all brand new zoning ordinance than what we have.
Sure.
We literally went through every page, all 200 and what, 8 or 10 of them,
I think it says 6.
206, good times.
Crazy.
So everything changed, even the smallest definitions changed. With the overall goal of trying to hone in on clarification and then ease for the residents to understand their, what they're looking at and how to go about finding it. I would think that in that regard, our, table for amendments and then the, table of contents section being so clearly laid out in the front is probably the 2 things that will help the residents the most.
I
I
think
mean,
that's fantastic.
We could go on, and I could bore you for hours, but we're not gonna do that. So, I mean, there's lots of new stuff in there. I would think maybe the ADUs, basically probably would be the one thing that is really, really new, the accessory dwelling unit. So if you wanna, have your kids, live in your house and you can have a little 600 square foot house on your property, you can do that kind of thing.
So the tiny homes on the property.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, we didn't quite go down to the tiny homes. We
Right.
kind of wanted to make sure that, we didn't have 10,000 of those around town.
Right.
So, but overall, a lot of long meetings and good work.
Very good work.
Yeah.
You guys have any questions about? I mean, no. Looks for me.
Next on the agenda, we are running late tonight. We have public comment. This can be any public comment. You have 3 minutes. discussing whatever you may want to with the board of directors. Go ahead.
Here we go. Carl Kendall promised he was gonna be here tonight now, so really hoping to address what you will do. After the last meeting I was at, was October's meeting. You were there. You were there. Oh, congratulations, Joyce. This is 2 full boards that she's been the sole survivor of. I don't know if that's good or bad or what that means. Anyway, I spoke for an entire 48 seconds. I timed it when I watched the video. I had to leave early that night. Our supervisor then spoke, I can't say spoke, kind of bellowed, either about me or to me, in excess of 7 minutes. Apparently I made, my 48 seconds made quite an impression on him, because long after I left, he was still talking about me. One thing, right after the meeting, the next business day, I went to BCPD and pulled records to see what they had on me as far as complaints lodged against me or in reports for any misdeeds I may have done here. And that fills this hand. I also went to Joyce's office, filled out a FOIA request for any and all video and audio, because this place is like a soundstage, of me harassing staff, as Kinzel said. And that fills this hand. This is the first time these false accusations by board members have been made against me. It started out with, what was the name, Desatel? When I first came here, I committed the horrible crime of saying Adam Heichel was my friend. I wasn't even a resident of Bedford Township at that time. I lived in the same house on the same property, but I was still considered City of Battle Creek. She said in her big red flag speech, I know you remember this one, she accused me of multiple violations. I said, I don't have any violations. She said, you have multiple violations. I said, well, what are they? This is classic. I don't know. You knew I had violations. So why is there animosity between me and this board? I don't know. Maybe because me and Craig Dingman, I met him right here that morning. He invited me to go outside to watch this horrible video that Justin Schatz had made. And then while he's looking for it, goes over and grabs him. And then the crap that has developed over the last 3 years due to that. Been asking for cameras for I don't know how many years. This guy over here, I didn't even know what your name was. He asked one time, now we got cameras. At least thank you that we have cameras, that people at home can watch this. Now, I don't want to start this whole thing out with more animosity, and I've even got up and said that a few more times. I just ask that this board follow your own rules. Like, don't come to my house at 7:30 at night unannounced. You won't be welcome.
Any other public comments? Go ahead.
Said be increasingly proactive, positive, strong. Steve Cochran, Colonial Drive. You sit back here. Yeah, it's nice we have the cameras here. Are these running live so that everything that's being said right now is being put out here to the public, so it can't be edited or moved or anything? Is
That one has been.
awesome, good deal. I appreciate it. That's called transparency. We've been asking for I don't know, years. I'm glad to see that. It would be nice if you guys each had a microphone in front of you so that everything was recorded. And also that little unit back there was a little bit louder, so the people back in here could hear you guys a little bit better. When you don't just scream at people. Okay, number one. Number two, congratulations on all of you being here, that we decided to put you here, and hopefully you do a good job here. I am going to caution you, for people with PTSD, that gavel being like that, when people are listening to other people talking out here, startles people. That's not a good thing. You could easily go, excuse me, or quietly. You don't have to beat it, okay? It didn't do anything to you. It's just a piece of wood, okay? Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hello, I'm Michaela. Some of you maybe know me as either Riff or Raph. I'm not sure which of those I am. But I was not able to be kept out today, which was maybe the plan by some people here. And it is weird to see. I'm not sure how many of you all have recognized, but the planning and changing and different actions, most likely the discussions, multiple discussions that have gone on with some of you behind the scenes, police officers included, about just a couple individuals in this township. The actions and the planning, that seems a little weird. I think anyone that sees that, and many people have seen that, but Mr. Riff or Mr. Raff was not allowed to come to this meeting because of some paranoid delusions by some board members. But those paranoid delusions will hopefully be gone soon. And then that other part of transparency will come back here. Now, where is the township's capital improvements plan? Now, we don't have all the points available for the grant because we as a township, as a charter township, have never had a capital improvements plan. I've been saying for the fire departments, major purchases, the development, building of buildings we have now, the road constructions that we have now, all of the infrastructure upgrades that we have been done without a capital improvements plan. The people should be up in arms that you are spending the amount of dollars that you're spending without any proper planning that you as a municipality should have. Basic functions that I've been trying to bring to you all, which you slowly have been adding. The basic things that I have been pushing have been slowly happening now. AMSA, let's talk about AMSA. AMSA is centralized planning. AMSA, when I left here, was attempting to make all of our permits and our inspections to go through the city of Battle Creek, simply so that the city of Battle Creek could increase the size of the department, centralize everything, and control what happens in all of our communities. Why do we have a centralized control over all of these monies? Why do we not do things and work as a board to understand how we could benefit our community by being separate and different, not being the same as everyone else, but being competitive? You guys want to act like a business in some ways, but then you guys actually don't act like a business. You act like a controlled entity, a controlled unit, which is obvious. We had someone that was less than 2 minutes here, was gabbled in the audience for whispering with somebody.
Anyone else?
Hopefully the tyranny will reduce in the community. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right. Yes, Representative-elect Frisbee.
My final report as your county commissioner, and appreciate all of your support over the last 14 years. It's been a pleasure to serve you at that level. I look forward to serving in Lansing as your state representative. Just a quick report, what's going on there now is lame duck and it's out of control. They've shut down committees without any hearings, and they're just taking things to the floor to vote on. So what we get out of that is probably some really bad legislation that has unintended consequences without thought and not good public policy. So unfortunately, that's what happens in these situations occasionally. We approved our budget at the county at our last meeting last week. We anticipate revenues of $59,900,000. We anticipate expenditures of $59,400,000. So our goal is to put $500,000 into our general fund. We've been directed, all entities at the county level have been directed to have a new higher level of cash on hand through the state treasury. So our goal is to get between 18 and 20 million, and currently we're at about 13 million. So we will continue to bite that off as we can to put money away. What it does is help us eliminate any lending that we have to do to meet cash demands. So it's an okay process. Our cash cost for interest are pretty low. So the question whether one size fits all policy from the state ever really fits us. We can borrow money very inexpensively and pay it back. So very rapidly to eliminate because of our cash flows and stuff like that, and good planning. But that's what we've been demanded to do through the state. So we're going to work our way to that fund balance. Talked about the road submission of that. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And again, I would encourage you, take that 5-year plan, turn it into a comprehensive plan, get your funding in there, and that will put you into the funding stream of guaranteed. Yes, if you have the funds set aside to do this or committed to it, that comprehensive plan is scored much differently. It's like, yes, we agree, let's go, and it's put into our operating budget at the road department. If we 1, 2, or 3 roads, then we have to go to the scoring matrix to divvy up, what we have available in funding. So in that matching process. Any questions for me? Been a pleasure, and it won't be my last meeting. Thankfully, I've enjoyed working with you. I know I'll enjoy working with you this new position.
Thank you very much. I'm excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah. All right. Next on the agenda is elected officials and trustees' personal privilege time. Who would like to start?
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I know I heard a rumor, or when the rumor was true, Wednesday Dolan conversation had quite a few people here, so any people like to come and do it. It sounds like they had a good time. It's from 9 to 11. And, thank you, new board. We had a good meeting. Everything turned out good. Hope to see everybody back, and happy holidays.
Yes, very much so. Trustee Greenwood?
Just to address a few public comments. The previous board had already approved a resolution to start needs assessments, for a capital improvement plan. That's already been done. We are waiting on the results of that, so this new board should have data to move forward for budget and project planning. And I don't know if there was confusion regarding the AMSA resolution. That was to back out of AMSA. Other than that, I look forward to working with the new board, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you. Trustee McKay?
Just want to thank everybody for coming. And I appreciate and look forward to working with this new board. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we got lots to do.
Yeah. Trustee Hopkins?
Sure. I'm looking forward to working with the board on numerous projects. We have a lot of things happening, which is great. Working with the community, listening to everybody and taking that in, and good to see a nice turnout, and Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You have nothing? For Crocker?
Couple things. Congratulations, Steve, on your victory at the recount. We spent, Lisa and I spent 2 days over at the county during the recount to go through the county state rep. And it turned out about the same, 20 votes more you ended up gaining.
79 was the final.
Okay,
My
so
new favorite
21.
number.
So it was a learning experience. It was a lot of work. It was very intense. There were probably 300 people in the room, all working together to get these counted and verified. So that was one thing. And then you may notice we have a new table and new chairs, and these cost us nothing. So they were left over from a company in town that wanted to let us use them for our board table. So we're pretty proud of them. It's very pretty.
Very nice.
So the chairs are a little bit rolly, so you move really quickly. But I look forward to working with each of you new members. I know that it's been a pleasure just the week or two that we've been in the office. So Merry Christmas and
May I
Happy
ask
New
you
Year.
something?
Easy questions.
It is. How much would you say, I know with the election now that there's early voting and then a couple of recounts, how much extra time have you had during this election than previous elections, would you say?
So now we're up against potential, there's not a lot of extra time yet,
No,
not yet. They're doing the audits next.
okay.
So we got the memo for that. And then we'll be able to put everything away.
Fine.
So it's been intense, but well worth it. I mean, well worth it. We learn every day.
Good job, for sure. All right, and then the only thing that I have, December is Buzzed Driving Awareness Month, along with 11 different holidays in December that are celebrated. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I would say that the number one thing during the campaign, my campaign anyway, that people said is they want to come to the meetings to observe the board, but they don't because of the disruptiveness. And so, you know, it just a reminder that this is a board meeting for the board. And anyone that comes, you are welcome to come. It's open meeting. And we just need to get through our stuff. As you can see, we've gone an hour and a half tonight. So I hope that everyone here and everyone in the audience has a very happy, safe, and healthy holidays. And our next board meeting will be January 9th. Do I need a motion to adjourn? Or just call it adjourned?